Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a very well. It's not as cold, but it's certainly wet at Carrow Road for this evening's Team News Live. We're expecting a very interesting Norwich City lineup to come in just a minute time. I'm sure you all caught a story this morning about Christoph Solis. It sounds like there's a few more of those, but we'll get confirmation in just a minute's time. Norwich City, of course, hosting Manchester United this evening. An embarrassment of riches available. I mean, you can tell Manchester United are in town when you just take a walk past the City stand and the sheer amount of people waiting for the coaches to arrive. So there you go. We're just watching Dean Smith come and do his pre-match media down below, and we should in a minute's time have the team news. And Pat, I'm probably going to come to you and then cut across you very, very quickly. So just be aware for that. But in terms of what we're expecting and actually I might cut across you straight away because here is the team news, and it is a 4-3-3 for Norwich City. Krul in goal, Aarons, Hanley, Kabak and Yanulis the back four, Gilmore, Rupp and McLean the midfield three, with Josh Sargent on the right, Shemiswav Poheta on the left and Timu Puki up front. The subs bench, Angus Gunn, Sam Byram makes a Norwich City matchday squad for the first time in a long time. Tomkinson on the bench as well, under 23s captain Barley Mumba, Pierre Leesmalu, Jacob Sorensen, Adam Eder, Kieran Dowell and Todd Campbell. So that's 5 changes for Norwich City in total. It is Gibson, Williams, who's obviously ineligible, Leesmalu, Eder, Omar Ramadeli out. Of course, Sholis not in the 18 as well. Oh, no, it's not 18 now, is it? It's about 20. But, Pat, we'll throw it over to you. That is a Norwich City team that suggests that there's injuries, I suppose, but also COVID in the camp as well.
Certainly does, Connor. Yeah, and I think as you called it earlier, Jolis will be in the COVID camp. Dean Smith will confirm that, I'm sure, after the game, if he's not already doing it in his pre-match media commitments. And I'm just looking now, Gibson out, Kabak in, and no Gibson on the bench. So that really smacks of either one of those fitness issues or, maybe the other player who Dean indicated was exhibiting symptoms and they were waiting on the results of a PCR test on Friday. But we won't speculate on that front. But certainly our understanding is Zolis is positive for COVID and obviously wouldn't be anywhere near it today or Villa coming up, given that he now needs to serve a period of isolation. I'm literally just trying to cast my eye over any others glaring sort of omissions from the match day squad.
I'll read them for you, Pat. So Ben Gibson, as you mentioned, Brandon Williams, obviously the one that we all expected because of his ineligibility today. Pierre Leesmalu, Adam Eder and Andrew Omabamadeli, the other 3. And Eder is on the bench.
No Omabamadeli though, Connor.
Omabamadeli isn't, and Leesmalu also on the bench as well. So Andrew Omabamadeli may be the other player potentially that we're looking at. But again, we'll get confirmation fully from Dean Smith after the game.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, they're the 3, aren't they then? Gibson, Omabamadeli, and Zolis. All 3 of those, I'm pretty sure, would have been in the 20. I mean, Kabak hadn't really been certainly making the 11 and was struggling to make some benches. So to get parachuted straight in would indicate, fitness / COVID with Dean to confirm after the game, hopefully. But not ideal. Already with having to make the one change to the back 4 as it is now, in terms of Yanulis in, Brandon Williams out. Kabak to go in as well. I don't think that improves Norwich's chances, if I'm brutally honest, just because of him and Hanley. Yes, and the Daniel, there was 1 or 2 games, wasn't there, Burnley, where they played in a 3. There was 1 or 2 games here at Carrow Road, but they haven't got that understanding that Hanley and Gibson have got both since Dean Smith came in, but obviously I'm thinking more so the championship title winning season. So there's an element of unpredictability about that, but needs must, clearly. And as I look further forward, then the eye is clearly drawn to Shemi Poheta. What a chance for that man tonight. Correct me if I'm wrong, Con. I don't think he's even got on off the bench under Dean Smith. 1 game, Dave Freezer tells me. But still, very, very minimal amounts of first-team action for quite some while, really, actually. I'll go back to Daniel's back end of last season and the start of this. And obviously he was one as well, wasn't he, who had the COVID as well at the start of the season. So it hasn't really been anywhere near it for quite some time. And on you go, mate, playing Manchester United under the lights, global television audience. What an opportunity for him tonight. And Sargent, the other side, Cantwell on the bench. I'm sure the reaction is already kind of, why is Cantwell out? And those 2 are either side of Pookie, and I can kind of see that ultimately. It does concern me, the lack of creativity and potentially the lack of support to the GOAT. So, yeah, got to be honest, if I did have any optimism prior to the team news dropping, that's just receded a touch when I've seen that 11, if I'm honest.
You mentioned there in terms of, I suppose, Sargent over Cantwell maybe, but is the bigger point maybe Poeta over Cantwell, given we've seen Cantwell play on that left side on a few occasions, and that is predominantly where Todd Cantwell plays. We obviously had the bit from Dean Smith earlier in the week that said he's probably getting a little bit closer to the levels that he wants him to be. Is this probably more a decision made on who has more fitness at this point, do you think? Maybe something tactical, given Poeta's got a lot of pace? What do you kind of make of that decision?
Well, yeah, I mean, ultimately, it might come down to that. I think it's probably going to be more the tactical setup and what Dean Smith and Shakespeare think Poeta offers that Cantwell doesn't, both with and without the ball. As I start to sort of digest really not only the personnel, but how they're trying to set up, what are they trying to do there? I mean, if it is Poeta and Sargent that far advanced, and that's a very aggressive option. But I think the reality is it's going to be those two supplementing McLean, Rupp, Gilmore, ultimately, I think, for a lot of it, and trying to frustrate United, where they look to be quite strong in that sort of 2-2-2 that Ranić seems to have brought in since he came in. So, but I just feel, in terms of a player who could come and affect the game at the right end of the pitch, and you line me up Sargent, Poeta, Cantwell, it's got to be Cantwell, hasn't it? So, that to me, and of course he's there, he's in reserve, and he can be introduced as Ida can, as Dowell can, as Lise Malou can. So, it's maybe a more conservative approach is what I'd say from Dean Smith initially. And why wouldn't you? Because ultimately you don't want to be out of this game at half time, and ultimately then you're probably just playing for a bit of pride. You want to take this game deep into the second half, get the crowd fully engaged, and then in that scenario, if you were introducing a Cantwell against the tiring United side, then that might be an inspired choice, but time will tell.
It definitely will. Just to bring you the Manchester United team then, they're unchanged from their 1-0 win over Crystal Palace last weekend. So they stick with the 4-2-2-2. 11 changes, of course, from that European game in midweek. But as we've said, it wasn't a game that had anything riding on it. I think Ralph Ranić used it to look at his squad. But they've got De Gea in goal. It will be Dalot, Maguire, Lindelof and Alex Telles at the back. Fred and McTominay, the two sort of deeper sitting midfielders. Fernandes and Sancho, the two behind Cristiano Ronaldo and Marcus Rashford, which is quite a two to be naming in any side. Their subs bench: Heaton, Henderson, so two goalkeepers on the bench for Manchester United. Bailly, Jones, Shaw, Lingard, Van der Beek, Elanga and Greenwood. So not some bad options on the bench either, Pad. But if we're going to bring some confidence to this, I was casting my mind back this morning. Depleted squad, 5:30 on a Saturday, team against Manchester. Last time all of those things happened for Norwich City, it ended quite well.
Yeah, it didn't end too shabbily, did it? Yeah, a result that reverberated around Planet Football, if I recall. And for me, never heard Carrow Road as loud as that. That night, even a sort of a challenge that earned a Norwich throw felt like Simeon Jackson scoring against Derby back in the Lambert era. It was an immense occasion, and could we hope for anything approaching that? Certainly the same outcome, and that would be a Norwich win over a team from Manchester, completely against the odds. There's certainly parallels, more so from the angle of the depletion in the Norwich ranks. Not to have Zolis and Gibson, Omabama Daly, but even prior to, no Matthias Norman, no Miljo Rashica tonight. Big players already this season, and in that context, with this team, what a lovely debate to be if we get to full-time whistle and we're debating which of these iconic wins over Manchester clubs was the most impressive, and we'd take that all day long. But there's a lot of hard work between now and then. And again, I don't wish to sort of dampen down any rising optimism, because of course, I look at the two Carrow Road games under Dean Smith, Southampton and Wolves, and Norwich had a right good go against, two established clubs, but in Wolves, a team who arrived during the top six, and they didn't look like a top six side against a bottom side that day, or a side near the bottom. Norwich were phenomenal in a lot of the things they did that day. So those 2 days. So, I think we can expect that we'll get a similar type of committed performance. You just fear that the quality, particularly in forward areas, is going to be too big for Norwich to bridge. But, as that result proved back in 2018, September was it? I think
19, yeah.
19, yeah. strange things can happen. So yeah, let's cling to that hope, Connor.
Yeah, we mentioned Shemi Poeto, whose last start came in February. I suppose there's opportunity knocks as well for Ozan Kabak, who's been a player that we haven't seen under Dean Smith. The other options have been preferred. But I want to just speak about Sam Byram very, very quickly, because for all of maybe the talk about the changes Norwich City have made and those who are coming into the first starting 11, it's been a real prolonged period since we've seen Sam Byram in a Norwich City matchday squad. What was it? It would have been February. Was it 2020 when they played Liverpool when he limped out? And it's been over 2 years since that point, so a year and a bit. So it's really good to see him back, isn't it? I suppose that's the major point.
Yeah, well, it is. Yeah, but at 9:20 Friday morning, when I actually asked Dean Smith, would it be too soon for Sam Byram, because that was in the context of we knew Williams was ineligible. So obviously, without picking his side, we felt Younulis would step in. Does that leave him a bit like left-sided defensive option? And asked him about Byram, asked him about Mumba. And at 9:20 or so on Friday morning, he felt that it'd be a bit too soon for Sam Byram to be considered. But of course, we roll it on, and there's no Gibson and there's no Obama Daly. So the reality is they needed bodies on the bench, and both Byram and Barley Mumba make the bench tonight. And it is ahead of schedule. Dean Smith will admit that, I'm sure, after the game. And I'll be very, very surprised if we actually see him get on the pitch. But just on a personal, human level, as you say, Connor, a guy who there must have been some dark moments when he feared maybe the career, certainly at the top level, was over. 20 months is a hell of a chunk in any professional footballer's career. Having been so good, really, up to that point in his first season for Norwich at Premier League level, keeping Jamal Lewis out at left back until disaster struck against Liverpool, I think it was, here at Carrow Road. Then complications with hamstring surgery and on and on and on. And as Dean Smith did say yesterday also with Sam Byram, he remembers the Sam Byram who came through at Leeds and what a phenomenal player he was, what a phenomenal prospect he was. Not had the best of luck with injuries, both before he got to Norwich and during his Norwich career thus far. But pertinent as we approach ever closer to the January transfer window, Sam Byram fit and available and able to compete at this level, that will feel like a new signing. So great on a personal level to see his name on the team sheet tonight.
Absolutely. Well, can the starter line again today, this evening? It's going to be a very, very difficult contest. Just looking at the array of names down that Manchester United squad list, irrespective of maybe how they've been doing before Ralph Rangnick's arrival, still some incredibly talented players in there, and probably brings home how big an occasion this is and how big a task it's going to be for Norwich City, particularly as you said, Pad, with the options in attack. I think that will do us nicely for now. Of course, we'll bring you all of Dean Smith's reaction after the game. It'll probably be able to clear up which players are out for maybe which specific reasons. So we will bring you all of that, pinkham.com, and if you want to go and follow the action, the Pinkham Plus app is the place to go, where you can follow Dave Freezer's live blog. Which is the first time I think it's been on there, so go and give it some love and support. Obviously, download the app if you haven't already. 2 months free, and then $1.99 thereafter. Right, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your time, Pad, as ever, and we'll see you all again very, very soon.